hands together. AT&T Think Sound Studio for Motionless tonight. Hi, Chris. Have a seat. And I found out something about you today that, well, you're from Pennsylvania,
Yes.
but you love Florida.
I do. That I do.
He actually loves the hotness of Florida.
I'm referred to by people in our bus as a frog. My code name given to me by some of the people was Frog Daddy. So I didn't pick it, not mine. I don't know if I agree with it, but yeah, they call me Frog Daddy because I just love being in this sticky hot weather.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're
You
here
like
for
the
a few
humidity
minutes.
too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I don't. I think the misconception is that people think I like direct sunlight, which no, that I can pass on.
Yeah.
I'll I like to just be outside, but in the shade, but still sweating.
I gotcha.
Yeah, if I'm not sweating,
Well, you're going to sweat at all times when you're here, and you know that. You've been on the Warped Tour the last few days now.
Yep.
So you're here in Florida for the next few days. What do you have planned? Are you going to do any theme parks, or what's something that you want to do while you're here, I guess?
I actually just left it pretty open. I'm coming to do this, and I'll stay for like 2 or 3 days, and I'm just gonna. There's some food spots here that I really like. I just want to be here and just be relaxed. I like to just sit.
Just
After doing a tour for as long as we did Warped Tour, I can just sit in a chair, drink some sweet tea or some juice or whatever it is, and that's all I need.
Awesome.
I want some Johnny Cash, and my life is A-okay.
I did. I saw that in your list of some of your favorite bands. Johnny Cash was in the middle of a lot of other bands. That's pretty cool, I thought. So Warped Tour, I mean, I'm sure every person asks you that. I mean, obviously you guys started out with Warped Tour back in 2005, and you've been on many treks, and this last one, doing 20 dates in a row is pretty harsh. I mean, that's harsh for anybody. How is that?
Have you ever heard of the game Oregon Trail? Like,
Oh, yeah.
How many people are familiar with Oregon Trail?
I died from scarlet fever many times.
Right.
Yeah.
So as it went on, I was like tweeting each day, like day 1 of 20 in a row, day 5, and so on. And I think as we got to day like 18 or so, I started to type as though we were on the Oregon Trail. I'm like, rations are low, morale is dwindling, we've lost Benny to scurvy, because that's how it started to feel. Like we were still having a lot of fun, but 20 days in a Warped Tour, at the end of it, I'm very happy to say that we did it as like a part of our career to say.
For sure.
I mean, I think the most we've ever done is 10 before that. So doubling the most we've done, and the last time we did 10 was in Warped Tour. So it's just, it was a trek, but.
Awesome, we made it through, and officially the Warped Tour is over now.
It's over now.
And you got to close it out. That's probably a pretty cool, experience as far as a band, and starting out with the Warped Tour.
It's definitely a weird thing to accept that it's gone, because I feel like we've done it every other year now since 2012, and before that even more. We were on it so often, and so many of the biggest moments that have happened for the band were a direct result of being a part of Warped Tour. So it's bizarre to like accept. It doesn't really feel that way. I think it's actually going to hit everybody the most during like the spring or early next year when bands usually would start to get announced, and then there's no announcement. So.
And that's kind of a thing too. I was watching. It gave me chills a little bit. I saw one of your Instagram posts, the bio that you put up together about Warped Tour, and it's 4.5 minute video and whatnot, and how many places that you've been in places that are no longer having the show there and whatnot. Pretty, I would assume, inspirational, just to be a part of something that's lasted for 25 years.
Yeah. As I said, it's just been so much of, or I guess just I like to say directly responsible. Anyone can argue that or not, I don't know, but it's been directly responsible for some of the biggest moments. I mean, something I thought was pretty much impossible for a band like us. We had a top 10 Billboard record because of being on Warped Tour and all the pre-sales that it enabled us to sell. We did 31,000 albums first week for our album Reincarnate, and that was because of Warped Tour.
Yeah.
We were discovered on Warped Tour back in 2008, and by being in front of the right people, a couple months later we ended up signing to Fearless Records. So it's just, it's thankfully now we're a lot more established to where I think those moments would be lesser going forward as a part of Warped Tour, but still it's just, we had, on this tour alone, we had a record. Chicago broke our record for most merch ever sold at a show.
Wow,
so it's
awesome.
still, as you can see, like it's just been a part of these massive record-setting moments of the band. So Thank you to Warped Tour
Awesome, yeah.
and everything for, thank you to you guys for going to Orlando if you were there, getting rained on and all that.
How many of you guys were there at Warped Tour? Awesome. I had a bunch of friends that went too. Awesome. All right, so let's ask some questions from the audience. We're going to start with Haley.
All right, where's Haley?
Right up front.
Oh, good.
I'll tell
Easy
you,
one.
I
Easy
got
one to
to
start
go
with, Haley.
first.
Here you go, that's yours. You can
I
have
did
that
some
now.
slim
You
eye
can keep
planning.
What was your motivation for Voices?
My motivation for Voices. So, another really awesome part of Warped Tour, since we seem to be revolving so
I know,
much around Warped
sorry.
Tour. No, it's all
I
right.
started out that way.
No, it's just, it's such a massive part of what just was my summer, so
Yeah.
it makes sense. So another great part of Warped Tour is that they gave me the opportunity in 2016 and again this year to do these workshop kind of meetings similar to this with fans every day, and they were called the TEI workshops, and they gave it the opportunity to a few different artists on the tour, and they could have either come in and gave lessons. It could have been guitar lessons, drum lessons, singing lessons, or it could have just been whatever it is that each artist wanted to have it be. And I'm telling you this, like, were you there? Were you at the? Okay, yeah, that'd just be funny if you were just like, yeah, I was there, dumbass. So yeah, they gave all these artists the chance to really just meet with people that wanted to come and meet with them and do whatever it was that they felt the opportunity presented. And for me, in 2016 and this year, I saw it as a platform for me to go and talk to people who might just have a lot of different questions about life that, I look at my life and I've definitely not been through everything, but I feel like I've been through a lot, and I've conquered a bunch of negativity, and I've definitely made something that I'm proud of in my life, and just have been all over the place. And I felt like I have some solid advice or life experience to talk about to maybe help people and use my platform for something positive, because I've been a believer in putting positivity out, you're going to get it back, and it's obviously something I like to just support in general as being positive. So in 2016 when I did it, I went there and I talked to these, I think there was 38, 40 shows. I talked to these massive groups of people every day, and some of the conversations were so uplifting, and hearing from people about really positive relationships in their lives, or different moments where they just beat some crazy negative situation in their life. It was amazing to hear that. And then other days it was pretty dark, and we were talking about some really hard shit to discuss, and there were people that were saying things for the first time that they've had bottled up inside for years, and they were saying it for the first time in this safe environment with people around them that related to them. And we were just talking
Pretty
about
moving.
yeah. I wasn't expecting it to be that intense, and I'm saying, like, there were tears every day, there were laughs. It was such a powerful experience, and I had absorbed so much of that energy over the course of that summer that we were still in the studio. We were going right back to the studio to finish the album, to finish Graveyard Shift, and I was like, I have to let this out. Like, I have to get this. Oh man, my phone just went out. Silence your cell phones, asshole. Sorry. I'm that guy. Silence your cell phones.
Sorry, you're allowed.
So yeah, I needed a way to get that energy out, and I thought, okay, well, what if I did something where I did the light and the dark? So there's a song called Loud, which is very much directly about the more positive, uplifting conversations, the very hopeful conversations that we all had. And then Voices was basically accumulating all these darker discussions and trying to figure out a way to lyrically represent the whole of what we talked about every day. And I think that's one of my favorite songs lyrically, because I knew exactly what I wanted to say. It was actually really hard to kind of narrow it down into one song. I could have written a few, but it's just about the different things that we all go through in life, the mental struggles, the toxic relationships, the negativity, bullying people that experience bullying, just being stuck in being your own worst enemy, all the different things that we all go through on a daily basis. And I felt like that song kind of represents all of it. And it wasn't just coming from myself. I was speaking for this massive group of people, 38 days worth of groups of people, trying to just take everything that we've all experienced and put it into one song. And I think that that's why the song has been, at least to my knowledge, the most fan favorite of the whole album, because it speaks for everybody, and it's directly influenced.
From the fans.
It's
Yeah,
from
really.
the fans, And we try to do that on every album as much as we can in one way or another. And I think that that's the song that fans can feel is directly influenced by them. So
That's very cool.
Yeah.
You decided that's what you were going to teach or talk about.
Yeah, it's just, I tell everybody every day, it's like, I'm not here to teach anybody anything. I'm here to just have a discussion. I just want to talk to you guys, and I never get the chance to anywhere else because signings are so fast. I don't do the online thing. It's just too disconnected for me. So I just wanted to talk, and I just wanted to be there and make people feel comfortable to talk about whatever they wanted to say, and that was the result.
That's awesome.
2 songs on an album worth.
That's awesome. Wow. All right, we got Kat is up next with a question.
Thank you.
We got
Where you at,
front
Kat?
row
Oh,
again.
hi, Kat.
Hi.
Easy to find you. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
good to see you.
Good to see you.
I recognize so many people here. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
So my question kind of plays off of that, but I was going to ask what your favorite song you've ever written and why.
Well, up until this new album, I would have probably had a harder time with that question, but On Graveyard Shift is my favorite, and that is the song called 570. It's just the most personal to me. Voices is very personal, but as I said, it's kind of about a more wide spectrum of people and input than just myself. But 570 is a song that is, at the time of writing the song, it was our 10-year anniversary of being a band. And in those 10 years, we've been through some insane experiences.
It's the longest Wikipedia page I think I've ever read.
Oh, man.
As far as bands.
I hope you bring up stuff from the Wikipedia page so I can just be like, oh my
No,
God, that's
real.
not right.
It was just updated 2 days ago.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was.
No way. It's so interesting to me that a forum that people go to read information that is perceived to be 100% true is often false.
Very much so.
So be careful with
Someone
your-
anonymous.
Yes.
Actually,
Anyone
yeah.
can go on and change anything.
Exactly.
There's been someone changed our name to Motionless and White Chocolate once.
How long was
And
that?
it made it onto Wikipedia. I was like, get them. Like, amazing that could be a thing. So
Random.
to get back to your question, I do that a lot. I just branch off and stray, and by the time I'm done, I'm like, wait, what was the question? That was 10 years of being a band, and we really wanted to have an album title and kind of centralize the theme of the album around recognizing that and looking back at all the things that we've been through and have done. And I just felt the need to have a song that kind of felt like more like the roots of the band, the heavier, more aggressive, more emotional root of the band, and that's kind of where the song came from. The lyrics are about, I would say maybe more so the first 5 years of the band rather than the second 5 years of those 10, and just thinking of, I mean, the best way to describe it without boring you guys to death for 20 minutes is I did a commentary thing on Spotify for the album, and the commentary for 570 is 19 minutes long. That gives you any indication of
How
much background there is to those lyrics. I just shared stories of things that happened, years 1 through 5, and it was amazing to go down that and go to that place within and just think about how I felt and what was going on in the band and the different errors that we made, the amazing triumphs, and just 10 years worth of incredibly interesting instances, and just I don't even know how to
That's
describe
what makes
it.
you write more,
Yeah,
Really.
yeah. So
Okay.
that one's for sure my most personal, most favorite. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we got 2 more questions in the front row. We've got James and Keith. James?
Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time out to come, today. My question is, so from this point.
Someone else, that
Please,
guy.
someone
Someone
else.
else, that guy.
Get him out of here right now.
Well, for a second I was like, oh man, I hope that's not mine, but I don't have that ring
Yeah.
so.
I will flip this goddamn tape. This box.
So from this point moving forward, is there any other artists from any genre that you want to work with that you definitely for sure want to seek out?
Yeah, I think we all have the people that I know we collectively agree on, and then each one has kind of like a personal, just this would be really cool. I think the most, I guess, commonly agree that we've discovered from saying it out loud to each other, and then with the fans agreeing, I mean, of course, we would love to work with Corey Taylor. Just we're massive fans of Slipknot and everything that Corey's done. And the coolest thing about him is, I don't know if you guys have a close relationship with him or not, but anyone that knows him knows that he's the nicest guy of all time. Like, what I truly believe is a rock star in a good way. I know a lot of people use the word as a negative connotation, but he's just a true rock star. The guy is just a great dude, smart as hell. Like, there's no bullshit, no ego. We toured with them in 2015, and they were the most welcoming group of guys. It was just amazing to be welcomed into that world and see that it's just so much different than a lot of other worlds that we are coming from in the past. And I think it'd be really cool to get to sit down with him, and whether it be even just writing, because I know he writes a lot of music, so whether it was music or lyrics or singing, whatever it was, it would just be great to have the chance to work together on that, have a different type of relationship than just knowing each other. And I think that's the most like collectively accepted one. But then there's others that we all like. I mean, of course, I'm a massive Davey Havok fan, AFI fan, so having somebody that really inspired me to look the way that I did very early on, and still to this day, that would be really cool to have him be a part of our band, because that's such a huge influence on us early on. So people like that, but I think Corey Taylor would be the one. Yeah.
He's such a cool guy. Just a
Yes.
family guy, just his music all over, just it's a cool guy.
You get it.
Yeah.
You could just sit.
And he's very normal, he's just kind of chill.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
all right, we got another one in the front row, Keith.
Pleasure to meet you, by the way. My question was similar to his, but I'll change it a little bit. With Maria Brinks on Contemptuous and Jonathan Davis on Necessary Evil, I was going to ask you what other band member you'd like to sing with, but at the same time, I was going to ask you what band have you ever had like a negative experience, if any, at any given time?
Right. Thinking back, and I think any bands that we've had, I don't even know if we had any like major.
That's a hard question.
Yeah, it is, because I don't want to out
Yeah.
anybody.
That's what I was thinking.
Fortunately, but unfortunately, we're a pretty reserved group of guys. Like we kind of stay in our little bubble, and we're very quiet. Pretty much all of us in the band growing up were the quiet observer type of kids. So it's hard for us to really kind of just go out there and meet a lot of people. It usually takes them coming to us, and then I feel like it promotes this idea that we're like, we have to be sought out to say hello to, like, which is not at all the case. We're just really quiet.
Just chill, yeah.
And we haven't put ourselves in a lot of positions to have negative experiences, but I think there's been some bands that I just could not get into, and listening to some of the things that they said on stage, or some of the things that they stood for as a band that I just did not agree with, and I just separated myself from being around them. But I don't think, at least not right now, nothing is coming to mind where I'm just like, oh man, this band, I think most bands, when we tour together, it's accepted that you're all out there together, and no one's trying to be an asshole, and no one's trying to make it uncomfortable for anybody else. We're all on a tour for a month and a half together. Sometimes there's some egos here and there, but that's, I guess, just gonna happen in the world, and we can choose to get mad about it, or we can just distance ourselves from it, and we just distance. So if I think of any negative things, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So far, nothing's coming to mind.
That's good. That's good. All right, next row we've got Olivia.
Hello, Olivia.
Hi. What made you want to pursue being an artist?
A lot of questions are taking me back here. I'm emotional. I think when I look to answer, anytime anyone has asked me this question, it's a two-part answer. When I was a really young kid, my grandfather was super into music. I've always been around music. Like, everyone in my family has always been a music listener, a music lover. So I think just being around it has kind of put it into my blood and my DNA that music has just been a part of my life. But my grandfather was a musician, country musician, and he tried to get me to play at a very young age. And sadly, I chose to be more of an athlete and play video games rather than play music. So I was really, really into sports. I was a all-star athlete growing up. Yeah, it was.
What was the sport? Hold
Yeah,
on,
what-
we can't just
what's
blow
the
past
sport?
that.
Yeah.
Actually, the sport that I was the best at was baseball. Oddly enough, I don't know. I guess I was quite fast when I was younger. Not anymore. Not anymore in my in my old age. Yeah, baseball, soccer, just anything I could play. I was all about. I know people would probably think basketball because I'm tall, but I was never good at basketball. Yeah, I just never wanted anything to do with music, and he tried, and I don't know, it just didn't end up working out. And then years later, as a young teen, I think maybe like 14 or so, 14, 15, other members of my family also played as well. And one of my uncles, I was at his house hanging out for a family gathering. He had his guitar out, and he just kind of put it in my lap and said, "Here, try to play this riff." It was the good old Johnny Be Good, Chuck Berry riff, and dun, dun, dun. So he just like tried to play this, and I tried, and it was at that moment till this day that it just like I don't know what just descended upon me or what, but I could not get enough of music and wanted to be part of playing music and writing music or whatever it was. I mean, at that moment, it has never stopped to this day.
And you play a lot of different instruments, right?
Yeah, I play guitar, drums. I haven't played drums in a very long time, but I play guitar, and I actually wanted to be a guitar player more than I wanted to ever be a singer. So I just, it turned out where like, you know, I had a guitar there, and it was just like, okay, I'm gonna learn every Metallica song that I could ever try to learn, and there was not enough time in the day for me to play music. It just, everything else in my life kind of just went downhill. Like my grades suffered, everything just took a back seat to music. And I think someone asked me this not too long ago, what was like the moment that defined, like, or what was the day that I said, this is what I want to do for a large portion of my life. And that would be my very first live show that I had ever played was, there was actually 2 in 1 week with 2 different bands, a Metallica tribute band full of my friends called Thunderhead, and then another one with my another group of friends from high school the band was called New Car Smell.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, the band was called New Car Smell, and they were really into the pop punk stuff, and my other friends were into metal, so I wanted to be a part of both because I just wanted to play. I didn't care what it was, I just wanted to be involved. And somehow, with both bands, I ended up becoming the singer, not the guitar player, which as I came to realize the other day, maybe I just really sucked at guitar, and nobody would tell me.
That's not true.
Yeah, like I had this realization. I'm like, wait, I've told this story a few times over the years, and I've never realized I probably just sucked at guitar, and nobody wanted me to play. So like, yeah, you just sing.
You just sing.
Just sing. You got this.
It's hard to be the front man of the
Yeah.
band, though. That's a
Yeah.
hard job, though. I mean, and especially probably for you because you are so much into the guitar to put it down. That had been hard for you.
It's it's gone through phases. Like when I ended up starting Motionless with a few other friends later after New Car Smell became massively successful and had world tours. After that, I did play guitar and sing for the first, I think, 2 years of Motionless being a band, and then I just had to accept. I just have to be the singer. But
are you okay with that?
Yeah, I still get to. I write a very large portion of our music still with our guys and our producer-writer friends. Like we all work together, and I still have a very heavy hand with writing. So to go back to 570, it's also so personal because I wrote 90% of the music as well, and that's something I haven't done in a while because normally we work collectively as a group, one way or another.
Yeah.
And that was a song that I sat down. I was like, I need to do this. I need this. I have to sit there and get this out of me. And then our guitarist Ricky came over and filled in some of the gaps that I had, and done deal. So it's great to still have a part of being, playing guitar and playing everything that I started music with in the band still to this day. But yeah, it was those first 2 shows. As soon as I walked on stage, and I think that like a person that was buried inside or just like waiting and just clawing to get out of me, I like to refer to as the fullest realization of myself, was in there, and I didn't know that until I walked on stage and experienced what had kind of come over me in those moments. I was, as I said, the quiet observer. I was super reserved, and I went on that stage and I went insane, just bouncing all over the place, singing, screaming, just headbanging. I lost my mind. I didn't recognize myself, and it was the most like intoxicating feeling I had ever felt. And that from that moment on, I was like, this is what I need to do. This is 100% what I'm going to dedicate every ounce of my being towards. And here we are.
Here you are.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Josh, you have a question on second row over here? Oh, I got two Joshes. There's another Josh over here.
Josh number 1.
What is your favorite episode of The Office?
Oh
That's a great question.
Wow. I actually cried during the series finale. I did. We were in Tennessee getting ready to go on stage, and the final episode was airing, and we were just like, no, we'll go on when it's done. That's the first diva moment we've ever had. I was just like, no, show can wait. The Office is finishing. I think maybe early on, the healthcare, I think season 1, the healthcare, Dwight becomes in charge of like the healthcare plan for the office, and that's where Jim creates the term Count Chocolitis as a disease. And that was just one of the first episodes I had seen, and I just died laughing. It was just so funny as a show, and do you watch The Office?
I watch a lot of The Office. You know that there's like 12 different countries that have their own version of The Office?
Well, then ours is the best.
I think so. Yes. I do miss that show though.
Yeah, so I'll go with that one. We have a
Okay.
song called Count Chocolitis for that very reason.
All right, next row is, you can ask Josh, I guess. Josh number 2.
Hey, thanks for coming out and doing this. We really appreciate it. I guess I got one main question is going back to like how you got your start and what was your defining moment and everything. When you realized what you wanted to do as far as being an artist, what was your biggest inspiration, or who is your biggest inspiration as far as bands, as far as your sound? Because I've listened to a lot of your stuff recently, and you got great tone, great beats, great rhythm, and everything. It's just incredibly empowering as far as your music goes. So who do you base your music on? Like, I know you said like Metallica as far as like your old the high school band that you were doing then. Who inspires your sound as far as recent bands, like older rock bands that you base your sound off of? Who inspires that sound?
I think it's pretty varied. Like, it's a very wide array of artists and bands that have influenced us over, now it's been 13 years. So early on, I think, that our band name is from a song title by a band called 18 Visions, which early on was a band that looked and sounded a way that influenced us very heavily. I mean, the earlier bands for me personally are Metallica, Misfits, stuff like that really kind of pushed me into, were the gateway bands into then what everything else that I discovered was. So I always kind of just give Metallica and Misfits the nod of like being the 2 earliest, most effective bands to me in pushing me into the path that I went. As the music became what it was, it's been different. I mean, I've always loved I love everything, and I know people say that, and it's just kind of like a throwaway thing to say, like, I listen to everything, but I really do. I love everything. I grew up listening to stuff from Led Zeppelin to the Beatles to Johnny Cash, and then getting into my own heavier music. I can listen to all of it, and I love it. So I've always tried to find a way to incorporate different aspects of all the genres of music into our songs, which is why you'll hear a lot of different sounds, a lot of different genre influences over the course of the albums. I think collectively, what affects the band the most are the bands that all of us really love. So we're talking like Slipknot, Korn, Manson, Rob Zombie, Breaking Benjamin, like bands that we've always really liked on that side. And then the heavier bands like Bleeding Through, 18 Visions, As I Lay Dying, stuff like that is more like the metalcore stuff. So it's always been taking those 2 worlds and really trying to blend them together, which hasn't always been easy, and it's been quite messy at times. Infamous 2012. So it's been quite messy at times, but that's just how we've wanted to form the band sound and really try to just do something that we felt gave us our own identity and our own brand, to where now I think, especially with Graveyard Shift, when you hear those songs, you think Motionless and White, which is something that we've been really trying to do, is take all those influences and create our own thing out of it. So yeah.
For sure. I got a question real quick on Facebook from Rob. He says, with getting ready to head back to the studio, where do you see the musical direction going in the evolution about this next album and just how far are you into this next album?
Got it. Well, thank you, Rob. Actually, yeah. Rob, I'm so happy you asked me. Right now, we're about halfway through. We tried to do some stuff on Warped Tour, but it's
Probably hard
it's
when you're out on the
impossible.
road, yeah,
It's
a lot going
impossible.
on.
Trying to just like find time, or even just like a mental opening
Just
to
to
do
write
something on
something,
Warped.
sure.
Yeah. So we're about halfway through. We're gonna go right into writing after this is, or like after.
After you're done with your Florida days?
After I'm done with Florida, I'm going right back to working on stuff. The guys are already home working on stuff. I think the best thing I can say to like the sound or anything close to what you're asking or what people are wondering, it's very much going to revolve around the same sounds that are found on Graveyard Shift, because that to us is we're the happiest. We found exactly what we've been trying to do. We felt that we found it on our previous album, Reincarnate, and we were very happy with that. And then that evolved into Graveyard Shift, and I think that it's going to still stick around those central themes that you find on those two albums. There'll be, a wild one here and there. A wild one. Wow, I just said that. A wild one. What's up, guys? This is a new wild one. Motionless and whatnot. God.
It worked.
So there'll be a few we always have the oddball tracks that I think are more fan tracks that we do specifically to give the fans songs that they will like, that maybe the rest of the people might not understand. But there'll be that. There'll be the heavy songs. There'll be the more active rock type of songs that we really like to do, like Voices and Loud. And it's just what we like. So.
Do you have a timeline at all? I mean, beginning of next year sometime?
I don't do timelines anymore because fans nail you to it.
Pressure.
Yeah, we really wanted to do the last album in the winter, and sadly the album came out a month or so after winter was officially over.
Uh-oh.
Oh man, that was just an ordeal.
Not good.
Yeah, so it'll be first half of next year. I know that's kind of vague, but I have to leave it like that just so people don't get angry.
That's okay. Don't anybody get angry. All right, third row. We got some more questions back here. Dickerman and cameraman.
All right, where are we going?
Carl.
Carl, where you at? Oh, hey, Carl.
This is fantastic, by the way. These questions are awesome, and just thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, thanks for being
I love
here.
doing this stuff. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. I got a question for you. I saw you in when you guys were touring with Slipknot, West Palm.
Right.
One of your songs you threw on a Bulls jersey. Are you a Bulls jersey fan, or are you why? I'm just curious.
The lightning. He said the lightning here.
The way that you say why sounds
I'm
like you're not.
He's trying to get you to make your answer how he wants
Are you a
it.
Bulls fan? Why?
I'm sorry.
Am I going to get shiny scared? Yes, I'm a massive Tampa Bay Lightning fan. I felt like I used to, as I said before, I used to be massively into sports. I kind of fell out of it when music became a big thing, and as I got back into sports, because when music became more of a career, it's not exactly the same as it was when I first started getting into it. So there was openings in my life to bring in other aspects of things that make me happy, and sports became another thing that I let back in. And hockey, when I reintroduced myself to it, I really liked Tampa, of course, the underdogs. I mean, Florida hockey is not very well looked upon by the rest of the hockey world, so I really
Going for them.
Yeah, I really like a lot of the players. Marty St. Louis, Vinny Lecavalier, sadly they're both gone, but Stammer's my favorite hockey player, and then they just have a great talented team of young guys that I still think that even though they've gone as far as they have in the past couple of years, they're still looked at as an underdog and kind of a throwaway team, and I really, really love that, and I just like to see them prove people wrong. So
Awesome.
let's go Bolts.
Where's Rachel at?
Hey.
Rachel?
Rachel. Oh, hi, Rachel.
Thank you. Hey, so here's kind of a throwback to your song Wasp.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Are you gonna go for more of a melodic kind of new song on your new album, or are you gonna stay more towards the heavy stuff?
So we started writing a song like that for the last album, and I put it on hold because I felt like one of the things that we needed to do with Graveyard Shift was be heavier. And that was partially because that's how we felt. We didn't want to have a song that dip down. We wanted everything to just be, you know, aggressive or heavy, or even if it wasn't a heavy song, it still had, you know, a lot of groove to it, or you'd bang your head or something. You just want to move to it. That's not to say that you can't move to Wasp, for anybody that knows what I'm referring to. But, you know, who gave me that sinister laugh? Who was that? It was you again.
It was Carl? Is that who it was? Carl. You, Carl.
But yeah, we started the song, we put it on hold, and there's been some recent events in my life that I really feel like I need to write about in a relationship sense, and just something that I have some feelings bottled up that I want to write about, and the song that we put on hold is perfect music for that kind of message that I want to get across. And I think that I'm going to try to, now once we get back to writing, I'm going to try to complete it and see what happens. So I would expect that there will be a song very similar to Wasp on the next album. I can't promise, but trust me, I'm at a very interesting place in my mind and my heart right now that I need to write about something similar, and yeah, that'll be the song that I do it for.
Awesome. All right, Troy is back in the fourth row, Dickerman. You got to travel to the back.
All right,
We've got
Troy.
about 3 more
I saw
questions.
a hand back here somewhere.
Troy, I think
There you
on
go,
the
brother.
left side. Oh, okay.
What's up, man? How you doing? It's just not really like a forward question. It's more like in general what you want to tell, I guess, this group of people. Like, do you have like maybe like a funny touring story that like maybe started out really horribly and like ended up like being like something obviously you can tell people and laugh about now?
All right, so I'm in my phone right now here because I have over 13 years. I know this is not going to sound like a lot. I have 60 entries, and these 60 entries of tour stories are like the top top of all the stories. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot for 13 years, but as I say, it's the 60 like gnarliest stories of all of them, you know? So some of them I can't say, most of them I can't say, sadly. But there was one on this Warped Tour that really kind of blew my mind. So are you essentially asking for like a crazy tour story or fan story?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking for?
I'm an artist, I'm on tour, so like it's funny to hear other people's stories too.
Right, right. Well, I'll try to make this one as quick as possible. So over the course of all this time, we've never really had the chance to like come face to face with the people that like the trolls on the internet, or like the people who harass you or stalk you or whatever like that. And you just usually just ignore it, and it's whatever. That's just how we don't pay attention to it. We just ignore it. But there was one person, this woman, that for about a year and a half was posting some very interesting things that were just so annoying and so frustrating to see. And of course, we just ignored it and blocked the profiles, and a new one was made, and blah blah blah. And it progressed into the. God, I have to tell the story.
What sort of things is this person posting?
Okay, this person was saying things, and when I say what it is, it's going to make this story seem even more eye roller and just like, why are you telling us this? But I assure you, it goes to a weird place. She kept suggesting that I was a shapeshifter, a vampire, or an alien, because I wear my sunglasses a lot. I have them right here. They're like my safety blanket. This is rare that I don't have them on, but I don't want to be that guy. So I wear them like in every interviews, photos, all that stuff. And she has suggested that means that I'm a shapeshifter, and she was trying to find me out. And she was infiltrating like our fan communities on Instagram and Facebook, and just causing so much stupid drama with our fans that they just didn't recognize that you should just ignore it and let it go, and they were just it was just an online
There'd be
stupid
like comments
drama
in
thing.
it long with this going on.
Yes, just stupid shit. And as I said, just ignore it, let it die, blah, 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 blah. It never did. Here's where it went to, and if any of you guys do this now, if any of you are inspired to do the same shit, then you can just F off. But she somehow found my mother's cell phone number and started texting my mom. My mom texted me, she's like, hey, I just got a text message and a phone call from someone named Tori. Do you know who that is? And I was like, well, the only Tori I know would not be messaging you, so what? And she's like, yeah, she said something about how she knows your secret and she really needs me to get you in touch with her. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's that
It's
girl.
that girl.
Oh my God. You're like, this has been
Sorry, Mom.
This has been going on for like a year online, and we just ignore it, never said anything to her. She got my mom's number, and I was just like, Mom, block it. I'm so sorry. I cannot believe that this is a thing. I can't believe it. And she just kind of stopped paying attention to it, and the person kept calling my mom and texting weird, just vague stuff, and just avoiding information, giving certain information out. So it finally died out. Okay, so here's the big bomb that I'm gonna drop, right? So we're on Warped Tour. We're in Charlotte, and I do the TEI class that I talked about earlier. And there was a woman towards the end that asked me to take my sunglasses off. I didn't think anything of it at all, anything of it. So I was like, sure. So I took my sunglasses off, and that was it. I said goodbye to the group, and I went on about my day. I went into our bus.
That was the only question she asked you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't think anything about it. So I went onto our bus, and our drummer looks up and he goes, yo, I just got a text message from someone that says, I just met Chris, and he was really cool. I'm like, but you don't know who this is? And he's like, no. So I was like, oh my, no. And it turns out that woman got our drummer's cell phone number as well, which, as I said, this is revealing that you can somehow get people in our
I was going to say, that
numbers.
doesn't seem like
You
the
can
easiest
pay-
thing for you to do.
can pay for it. You have to go through all these avenues to acquire it and pay for it and all this weird stuff. And I was like, no way, dude. Like, how is this a thing right now? But then I was like, wait a second.
She thought you were cool.
If she is there, yeah, right? Well, she thought it was cool, so it's all good. No. I was like, well, wait, if she's saying that, then chances are she's here, and I could try to come face to face with her and, suggest that she really needs to stop this. I was like, okay, what do we do? So I had everybody on our bus, like total CSI computer, like the Google research scene in every movie. We're just like entering phone numbers and blah, 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 blah. And each person kind of had a different piece of information that helped us build this puzzle of who she was. So I finally had our tour manager get the list of the people that were at the TEI. And sure enough, there was a person named Victoria. I won't reveal the last name. But it lined up with what we found the phone number registered to. My mom said the person said her name was Tori. So I was like, oh my God, she really is here. So we had TEI email her and say like, hey, any chance you can come to the Motionless merch table? Didn't give a reason why, just said that. She ended up going to the merch table. So I got the call from our tour manager. I ran as fast as I could, and I see it, and it's the woman who asked me to take my sunglasses off. And I pulled her to the side, and we filmed the whole thing, and I was like, what the fuck?
Why are you calling my mom?
I was like, do you have any idea how inappropriate and harassing that is to get the number of my mother? Like, who? What?
Yeah, not cool.
I kind of just like went off. I wasn't like fuck you or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was like, what would ever make you think that this is okay to do? Blah blah blah. And I kid you not. This is her reaction to me after saying what I said. She goes, well, I was actually trying to get in touch with you. It's dead serious. I was actually trying to get in touch with you for a while, and I just didn't have any luck, so I tried to get these phone numbers, and I just really wanted to ask you if you were a shapeshifter. I was like, what? She goes, a shapeshifter. I'm like, no, not a fucking shapeshifter. What are you talking? Like, I just couldn't believe.
She didn't say sorry.
No,
That was
no
her
apology.
question.
No apology. And here's the worst thing. She looked so offended at the fact that I was upset that she was doing this. And she was just like, well, I got it out of the phone book or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how did you even get these numbers? She's like, I searched it online. I got it out of the phone book. Like, so upset. Like could not understand why I was upset about it. I was like, listen, I have your email, your face, your name, all this stuff. I'm going to contact the police if anything else happens, because this is harassment. And do not text my mother. Don't text my friends. Just, that's it. And we shook hands, and she went on her way. Sure enough, texted our drummer like an hour later. So I was like, oh my God.
She's never going away.
So,
Victoria.
Yeah, so if you're watching this, cut the shit.
Leave him alone.
And that's my crazy fan story that I've had in a very long time. So yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
Thank you for suffering through all that.
All right, let's get maybe one more question. Is that going to within an hour
Yeah.
here? Let's see.
We're going to keep going as
We
long
do
as you
have
guys
Brittany,
want.
Riley, and Adam. Unless you want to ask questions real fast. I don't know, whichever.
Oh, you said that, now they're going to be like the gnarliest questions ever.
A 19-minute long answer.
Hi, Chris. I'm a big fan.
Hi.
If you weren't a rock star, what do you think you'd be doing today?
Well, I would say that based on my tattoos, my career at Bank of America is pretty much over. I really don't know. I mean, I would have to imagine that I would still be into music and trying to find a different avenue to have that outlet in my life, whether or not that was producing or just writing music for other people, or just I don't really know. It's tough to answer that because I just can only imagine my life playing music. I thankfully decided that this is what I wanted to do before I got to a point in my life where I would have had to have made that decision prior and then changed the decision. And I kind of never really knew exactly what I wanted until music came into my life. And it's interesting that you asked because, you know, I'm not naive. I realize that this is not going to last forever, and I will try to make it last for as long as it makes sense in my life and for everybody around, but I know it's not going to last forever, and therefore I will have to face the decision of what am I going to do next. So it's something I don't like to look at because I feel like that makes me feel like I'm not going to dedicate everything to what I'm doing right now, and I suppose I'm not learning my lesson of what I learned earlier in life of not putting things off till later on because I'm doing that exact same thing. So I don't know. I really don't know. I would have to say at that point, fortunately, once the band may be coming to an end, I still have a pretty, extensive musical background that I could do something else in music going forward. That's just what I would have to say is my
music.
Yeah, it would have to be music because nothing else has ever made me feel this way before. So that's something in music.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Are we
I
done?
appreciate. I know we have two more people. You want two more questions?
Let's do it.
All right, we've got Riley and Adam.
All right.
Back row back
Oh,
there.
good. Thank you.
Hey, so my question is, with Devin Sala's departure from the group, how has that affected the group, and who do you have planned to replace him to move forward as Motionless and White?
Well, on Warped Tour, we had a former member of the band, TJ Bell, who used to play guitar for the band, I think between 2006 and 2011. He came back and played bass for us for this tour because we really wanted to have somebody that we knew and felt comfortable with, rather than kind of using this last tour of the year to not really be sure who we were going to have and how it was going to work out.
Made it
So
easier,
yeah, it definitely felt really cool. And he obviously plays bass for a band called Escape the Fate, or he plays guitar for a band called Escape the Fate. So it was just kind of a one-off situation, and right now we're more so focused on the next album than we are finding a permanent replacement, because as far as we know, we aren't touring again until like I guess spring-ish of next year, because we're going to be working on music. So we're just kind of letting the dust settle and letting all of what has happened this year settle before we make a decision like that. As far as how it affects the band, I think it's more so affects the fans, because fans really enjoyed Devin, and we did as well. But the way that we operate the band, it doesn't necessarily affect us mechanically at all. It's just, and it was a situation that all parties felt needed to happen, and it was a mutually agreed upon thing that it was fine. So it's not like we were just like left with this big question of, well, what now? We planned for it, we knew ahead of time, and I think the band internally is just fine, and we just did the tour and it was great and everything's cool. But I guess it's just going to be more so an adjustment for the fans as time goes on than it will be for the band, because we've gone through it so many times with band members leaving that it's actually
Figure it out.
it's sadly quite common. I would say like every 2 years, sadly, someone leaves the band. We're just so used to it that it doesn't. Yeah. So.
Well, you've been in the band since the beginning.
I'm the only original
You
one
are,
left,
yeah.
so,
I did read that today. All right, I think one more question. I don't know if it's Riley or if it's Adam. Back here.
I got it.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
My question is, do you guys have a place that you look forward to playing outside the U.S.? And follow-up to that would be, I lost my question.
That's an awful follow-up.
Second craziest fan story. Go. Okay.
Look at your phone. What you got there?
Do you want me to answer the first one and see if you can
You
think
can
of the
think of
second
the, you
one?
can think of the second part.
I think the most agreed upon in the band country to visit would probably be Australia. It's just so beautiful there, and the fans. We just did our very first headliner in Australia in all this time being a band, and when we walked on stage in Sydney, Australia, I couldn't hear my own vocals. And it was for a song that isn't even like a single. It's just kind of like it's the opening song on Reincarnate, and it was so loud, and the fans were so excited to finally like see a headliner there, and it just reinforced that Australia is such a great place to go. I really love the UK. Every time we play in the UK, the fans show up and they're great. We just sold out a venue called Coco in London, which was a massive accomplishment for us. Beautiful venue. The fans there always show up, they always show up and they're ready to just party and have a great time. So I would say UK and Australia, but we're trying to expand. We haven't been to Japan in forever. We haven't been to South America in forever. So it's just so hard to navigate getting around all these countries within the time that we tour the U.S. and everywhere else. It's a massive
That's a long
puzzle.
tour. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a massive puzzle you gotta put together. But I would say UK and Australia for sure, for me at least. But do you remember the follow-up?
I do.
Okay, we're back.
When you go out on tour to other places beside the United States, was there ever like a come to light moment where you're playing a show or after a show and you're like, holy shit, these people know every single word to every single song?
I think that, this isn't the first experience, but I think that Australia tour I mentioned was a big one because we'd only done festivals in Australia.
Yeah.
We toured with the Amity Affliction and A Day to Remember in Australia, and it was great, but we were on pretty low spots on the bill.
Yeah.
So to get to go there and do a headliner and experience that fans really do care about us
to
there.
see you,
Yeah, that was a pretty massive light bulb that just kind of went off. And I think maybe the first experience to answer that finally would be the first time that we ever headlined the UK. We played like 500 cap venues. We weren't sure what to expect, and we just were like, okay, let's do it. And all the shows sold out for the first one.
Awesome.
And we didn't think 200 people or 100 people would show up beyond maybe London, and we sold out every day of that tour. Very sadly, I was the most sick I've ever been, ever. And our guitarist Ricky had to sing all the songs, and I just had to like go to the barrier and just put the mic in people's faces. I think we played 2 shows, London being one of them. Thankfully, it went well. And then the remaining 4 shows, I was basically just this close to death, and then had to go play. And I felt that's gonna be like one of my biggest like look backs and disappointments of my career, because I really wanted
What are
to
you
go
gonna
out
do
there.
if you're sick?
Yeah,
I mean, you
really-
can't do anything.
It sucked, but the fans made up for it, and they didn't care. I explained, I was like, guys, I'm doing the best I can. I got nothing left, and they showed up, and it was amazing. So
That's awesome.
that would be the first moment that I'd say coming out of the U.S. just wow, yeah. So.
Well, good luck with your writing. And that's obviously what you got going on now. And spending a few days here in Florida.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for coming and hanging out with us for now. We're going to play one of your songs here just a little while when we're off of Facebook Live. And all of you get to hang out and get to sign some autographs and hang out. And thank you for being at our AT&T Thanks downstairs.
Hey, Mel.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Mel, I got something real quick.
You have a question?
About the thing about what you would do after music. I just want to let you know, I just got a text from Victoria. She said that Shapeshifters Inc. is hiring. It's really weird that happened right after you told that story. I'm sorry. I'm done now.
Hey, thanks for sharing that.
Wow.
Wow.
None of this curveball in the day.
Awesome.
Wow.
Thank you guys for all being here today.
Sorry.
We appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thank you.